Today's episode brings headlines on European electric vehicle milestones, GM's EV cost-cutting and leadership questions, Volvo EX60 launch troubles, China's charging grid developments, and what this all means for the global auto supply chain and market strategies. Welcome back to Autonews Daily. I'm Leah Morgan. Let's dive into today's headlines. First up, General Motors and the pressures of shifting to electric vehicles. Recent reporting highlights that GM is undertaking aggressive cost-cutting measures in its EV programs as the company balances heavy investment in electrification with the need to protect margins. Those moves underscore the larger tension facing legacy automakers. Scaling EV production while managing component costs, battery procurement, and manufacturing transitions without eroding profitability. Observers note that such cost-focused strategies have consequences beyond spreadsheets. They can reshape product plans, supplier relationships, and even leadership dynamics as executives are held accountable for delivering results in a highly competitive market. This is not simply an internal accounting exercise. Cutting costs in EV programs can ripple through the supply chain, pressuring suppliers to renegotiate terms or consolidate, and can slow development timelines for new platforms. For a company of GM's scale, where hundreds of thousands of vehicles and complex supplier networks are involved, those pressures amplify quickly. The reported focus on efficiencies and margins is a reminder that the EV transition remains as much about industrial and financial strategy as it is about technology and sustainability. Moving on to Volvo and the launch issues surrounding the EX60. The rollout of that new model has been beset by problems that point to persistent production and supply chain vulnerabilities across the industry. Launch hiccups, whether related to parts availability, software integration, or logistics, often delay deliveries and erode initial customer confidence, which is particularly costly for premium brands that rely on a smooth first impression. For Volvo, the EX60's troubles serve as a case study in how tight production schedules and globalized sourcing can create high-stakes risks when anything goes off plan. For the broader industry, these kinds of launch setbacks are more than a reputational headache. They can alter market momentum. Competitors may seize the opportunity to capture showroom traffic, while dealers and after-sales operations absorb the fallout. The X60 situation also underlines how automakers are juggling complex new technologies, from advanced driver assistance systems to electrified powertrains, which elevate the technical and logistical demands of bringing a new vehicle to market. Next, we turn to China and charging infrastructure development, an area where the scale and speed of deployment continue to draw international attention. Chinese investment in charging networks and grid upgrades has been extensive, reflecting a strategic push to support mass EV adoption by ensuring convenient access to fast and reliable charging. The result is a denser, more accessible public charging landscape that helps reduce range anxiety and encourages consumers to choose battery electric vehicles. That build-out also creates lessons for other regions. Coordinating utilities, local governments, and private operators is essential to scale infrastructure efficiently, and technology choices made today, from charging standards to smart grid integration, will influence operational costs and user experience for years. Moreover, China's large home market allows OEMs and component suppliers to innovate at volume, which then affects global pricing, standardization debates, and investment flows in the charging ecosystem. Shifting gears to the European market, where recent sales figures are signaling a structural turning point. Reports indicate that electric vehicle sales in Europe have now surpassed sales of gasoline-powered cars, a milestone that marks a major change in consumer preferences and regulatory impact. Whether driven by tighter emissions rules, attractive incentives, expanding model availability, or improving infrastructure, this shift is forcing automakers to rethink product lineups and accelerate EV rollouts across segments. For manufacturers, the implications are profound. When buyers consistently favor battery electric models over petrol options, the economics of platform planning, dealer training, and supply chain investment change rapidly. OEMs must reallocate engineering resources, negotiate for more battery capacity, and prepare dealers for an entirely different maintenance and sales proposition. Policymakers and suppliers also take note. Demand signals like these can hasten decisions on charging investments, battery cell manufacturing, and even raw material sourcing strategies. And now a quick note. If you enjoyed this update, please like and subscribe. It helps us keep bringing the news to you. Finally, the most watched story today. Fully electric vehicle sales in the European Union have overtaken petrol car sales. This is a headline moment, not merely a statistical blip, but an indicator that the market has reached a new phase of adoption. The rise of fully electric vehicles achieving parity and now surpassing traditional gasoline cars in the EU reflects a confluence of stronger consumer acceptance, regulatory pressure, and an expanding model roster that covers more price points and use cases. This milestone carries several immediate consequences. Supply chains will increasingly prioritize battery and EV-specific components. Dealers will need to adapt their sales and service models, and automakers that were slower to electrify may face steeper challenges regaining market share. At the same time, competitors and new entrants that focused early on BEVs may consolidate advantages in software, energy management, and the customer experience. For consumers, broader adoption tends to bring more choice and downward pressure on prices as production scales. For the industry, the message is clear. Electrification has moved from a future ambition to today's market reality, and strategies that don't adapt risk obsolescence. That wraps up today's roundup. These stories, from cost and launch pressures at major manufacturers to the rapid build-out of charging networks and the decisive shift in European buying patterns, are interconnected. They show an industry in transformation, where operational discipline, supply chain resilience, and strategic investment will determine who leads the next decade of mobility. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow with the latest from the automotive world.